Currently, there are few options for dealing with nuclear waste. With over 20% of the United States power production being nuclear, we are generating extremely high levels of nuclear waste. The question is, where and how do we store this radioactive waste as it continues to be an area of concern? Underground nuclear waste storage is a current solution, but a very controversial one. Therefore, I'm going to be presenting why underground waste storage is actually a bad idea. While scientists need to come up with a solution to this ever-growing problem, underground storage is not the answer. First, I will explain why underground nuclear waste poses a threat on our environment and is extremely unsafe. And second, why underground nuclear waste storage is just not economical. Storing nuclear waste underground could have a huge effect on animals and plant lives and even us, humans. While we hope that the hazardous materials are well sealed, this isn't always the case, and accidents can very well happen, like a leak. Exposure to radioactive waste can lead to cancer, birth defects, genetic damage, lowered immunity to diseases, etc. I'm pretty sure we've all seen that episode of The Simpsons where Homer pulls out Blinky, the three-eyed fish that is a product of the nearby nuclear waste power plant. Now imagine that, but on an even greater and worse scale. Scientists and environmentalists have discovered that geological disposal could result in highly radioactive waste being released into our groundwater or seas for centuries. I'm sure that none of you would want to unwittingly drink high radioactive material. I know that I wouldn't. Other problems include corrosion of containers, heat and gas formation leading to pressurization and cracking of the storage chamber, unexpected chemical reactions, geological uncertainties, future ice ages, earthquakes, and human interferences. Dr. Helen Wallace, an environmental scientist, says that people really need to grasp the enormity of the challenge. She says, "We are talking about trying to contain waste for a greater amount of time than human beings have even been living on this planet. So, although we might be able to predict the consequences on a short time scale, that's an enormous scientific challenge. This waste is extremely radioactive, it's very hot, so it's going to significantly change the water flow deep underground. The corrosion of materials and the repository will release large quantities of gas, which have to escape somehow. Other underground options have thought to be better, such as burying the waste in polar ice sheets. But as ice sheets continue to melt, it would be hard to determine how long the waste would actually be buried or where it could even end up. Since 1987, the controversial idea was to put all nuclear waste in one place, a series of tunnels deep below Nevada's Yucca Mountain. The state of Nevada, however, was not even happy with being America's nuclear dump and even filed a lawsuit against this. There are also several issues as well, such as this is located only 100 miles from Las Vegas. Imagine the damage that can be done to such a tourist town if an accident was to occur. 2. It is in the Basin and Range province, which means earthquakes and maybe even volcanoes could happen. What do you think would occur with all that nuclear waste if there was an earthquake? The environment is extremely dry in Nevada, which many believe to be a potential oxidizing environment. All three of those are not very supportive. Overall, it simply seems like an underground storage for nuclear waste is just not good for the environment and is definitely not safe. But it is also not very economical, which leads me to my second point. It requires huge, large subsidiaries for projects, much like the Yucca Mountain Waste Repository site. This has cost tens of billions of dollars since the 1990s, and it still has not even materialized. If you're a small country or a state with a small amount of waste, it's really not very affordable to do this on your own. Not to mention, if something were to happen, the cost of cleanup and to make everything safe again for people, animals, and plants is extremely high. Not to mention, it's not easy. It can take many tens of thousands of years to ensure that an area is safe to live or visit again. Due to all of these reasons, bad for the environment, extremely unsafe, and not very economical, I believe that there should be another option of storage. And one should be figured out as soon as possible because this is a continuing problem around the world. Thank you.